live. Welcome to the Bardic Inspiration Podcast. I am your host. It's 2020, and my first guest, it brings me great pleasure to announce Rachel D. What it do, baby? Weird thing in the door is like the thing.
Okay, yeah. No, I figured you had...
We are live. Welcome to the Bardic Inspiration Podcast. It's 2020, and I left you guys hanging at the end of 2019 because I got busy. And I'm in Philly. This is my first time shooting a podcast in Philadelphia. And who better to have on my show than the talented Rachel Dodson, a.k.a. Rachel D., but she don't like it when I call her that.
Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited.
Yo, it's a pleasure to have you. So, Rachel,
Yeah.
tell me what inspired you to start playing music?
Oh, we're just diving right in.
Yo, that's the way to do it.
The most honest answer is when I was 8 or 9 years old, my mom bought a guitar and was like, Rachel, you're learning how to play this. Like, you need a hobby. So that's why I started playing guitar. But music, more realistically, I think my two biggest inspirations as far as starting to write and sing and all that stuff were Taylor Swift, classic, and Colby Calais. Yeah, it's cool that she's local. Her first single, Tim McGraw, came out when I was 8 years old, and I still remember being in like our family van on the way to my gymnastics class. It was the first time I heard it on 92.5 XTU, and I just remember thinking, like I want to write songs like her. She was only 16 at the time.
Yeah.
So that was basically it. And I actually wrote my first song. I think I wrote 2 songs before I even knew how to play guitar. So I was writing before like the music part of it came along.
Was it one of those things where you wrote it not knowing how to play it yet kind of things?
Yeah, like I had a melody in my head and I wrote verses and choruses and everything, but I had no idea how to play it on guitar. I just started learning how to play guitar.
I still do that today.
Really?
Yeah, where I'm like, I don't know how to do this. It's usually like really crazy shreddy guitar stuff, but it's like, oh, that would sound so cool.
Yeah, I've seen some of your videos. You get a little wild with I'm not that. I'm just a classic acoustic guitar type of
I don't know if I would say you're not all that, because you're a multi-instrumentalist, which is something I am not. Like, not really.
It's only guitar and piano. I do plan on picking up the harp at some point, though.
Really? One of these?
One of my goals in life is to learn a new instrument every 2 years. So in the end of 2017, I started learning to play the piano. So now that it's 2020, it's been 2 years. I want to pick something else up this year.
Nice.
Spend another 2 years.
So you've only played piano for 2 years?
Yeah. Been playing guitar for 14, piano for 2. Yeah.
Nice. I saw some piano stuff that you were doing on your YouTube channel. Do you kind of want to tell me about like those pagoda sessions?
Oh. The only reason I cringe when you say that is because I just was not ready to be playing piano in a video setting. But I was so bored of guitar and I was so enamored with piano because you know what it's like when something's new.
Yeah, absolutely.
That I decided to do it anyway. It was the wrong decision. I really don't like that video. But hindsight is 2020, no pun intended because of all the gear stuff, but hindsight is 2020 because I met Jay from Pagoda City Records, now Pagoda City Records, who engineered my album, which is why I'm here today. So it all came full circle. And if that video hadn't happened, then... And also, actually, interestingly enough, Jay and Zach are the two guys, you know Zach DeSantis, of course.
Zachy
Everybody
D.
knows Zach DeSantis. They're the two who are producing and engineering my album. Zach was there that night that I met Jay for that after hours session video because he was writing for the Reading Eagle at the time, and he wrote about that session because he was writing about Pagoda City at the time studio, which is now Pagoda City Records.
Small world.
Yeah, so they met the same night that I met Jay, and now the three of us, and Zach and I at the time, we were acquaintances because we had met, but
like through open mics and stuff.
But
that's how I found
out
about you too.
Closer. I remember meeting you. I don't think we've met.
I think like I was like never like formally introduced to you, but I was informally.
We've seen each other, and you've seen me perform, I presume.
Yeah,
and
I've given you like one of these. Like,
yeah. No, you've yelled. I remember distinctly one of the nights at Chatty Monks because I was thinking, and I'm gonna insult my host, but I was thinking, who was this annoying guy in the back who's yelling things?
It's the Bard.
Every 30 seconds, it was the Bard. So
the Bard
yeah,
of Reading, PA.
I do remember that. It was a good time.
No, that was really good. I think the first time I saw you do that, I saw you and I think Matt Bailey both do Valerie.
I don't know if I know he played that song with another girl that used to go there, but I don't know if I ever sang Valerie
that's
there. The curly-haired girl.
Oh God.
She's very tiny and cute.
Know. She's from the Philly Funk Authority.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember her name.
Let's not try to remember her name because I'm more important.
Oh my God. Oh my gosh. Oh shit. I want to remember it now. Yeah. I can't.
We'll remember
it escapes me
when this goes off.
Oh my God. Yeah, that wasn't. I feel like I saw you and him do something the first time I saw you do it. Though
we did a couple of songs together. We used to do Brown Eyed Girl together.
That might have been it.
And we did a Music Soul Child song together once, I think. But I only ever remember seeing you there once or twice.
I don't know. So I definitely seen you around more than that.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't
it's
remember.
all right. Sometimes I'm not a loud and obnoxious guy, so when I'm not, I'm in the shadows, and it's hard to notice.
I do remember you the one or two times that I remember you being very loud and energetic.
That's how I am. Yeah. That's how I energetic. Let's say a little overzealous. That's how I like to be. Yeah. You know. I think that's one thing about Chatty Monks is the crowd's a lot more laid back.
Yeah.
So when I go there and I'm having a good time.
People are like, who let this guy in? Open mics are hard because of that, because either you get, like, no one's there, or a lot of people are there and no one's paying attention to you.
Yeah.
That's very frustrating.
Is it to you?
Well, it can go both ways, because sometimes it's, like, nice to be background noise and you don't want people paying attention to you. Yeah. And then other times, you're like, come on, guys, I'm up here, like, pouring my heart out. Please, at least just look my way for 20 seconds. Yeah. So that can be hard. Like, it can be discouraging because you want to be so good that people stop whatever they're doing or whoever they're talking to and look at you. And so when they don't, you're kind of like, oh, maybe I don't have it.
Oh,
you know?
Man. No.
I think that's part of it. And also, as somebody watching when other artists are up there and they're not getting a response from the audience, I feel really bad because I know how it feels. And I'm like,
yeah.
ugh.
The only time that tends to affect me negatively is when I see people... or not see people, but when I have people come to see me and and then they'll request like, oh, you got to play this, and they don't pay attention the whole time. I'm like, dude.
Yeah.
I have like 15 minutes up here, and I just wasted my time on that song.
That I didn't even want to play.
Yeah.
Because I felt flattered by your attention.
Yeah.
They don't even care.
Exactly. Yeah. One thing that I really try to gravitate toward is to just be that background sound. And I'll start with something that's familiar to the people. Like, I'll play a good cover that's nice and sharp. And then from there, I'll try to do more originals. Yeah. And then the people will just leak away. And I'm like, yes. But, I'll surprise the ones that care.
How often, like, what's your ratio of covers to originals when you go out?
So, that's an interesting one, right? So, it depends if I'm playing a show or going to an open mic. Because when I'm playing a show... the split is 70-30 or more covers. When I'm playing, and that's because it's a 3-hour set, and it depends.
Yeah. No,
but open mics, I try to do like a cover for every 2 originals.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, open mics are more your time to shine with original music. When you're going to a show and you have to entertain somebody for an extended period of time like that, you're expected basically to do stuff that they know. So it's hard. Yeah. But then some people just don't care, and they're like, I'm doing all originals.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not.
Yeah. And if I have my like electric guitar too, there's specific covers I can do with that, and the rest is just like, oh, this is the fun thing I made.
Yeah.
Let's see if these 3 people that know anything about me are interested in this. So that's what I like to do. Like, if I go out to an open mic as a first time, I'll bring an acoustic, but my favorite open mic in Reading is the Speckled Hen, partially because I host it every 4th Thursday.
Oh, you host that?
Yeah,
I knew, but I haven't ever been there. But
You've never been to the Hen? Get out of here.
I've never been to the restaurant. Is it a restaurant or bar?
It's both.
Okay, I've never been there, period, and I've never been to the open mic, but I did know it existed.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't know you were hosting.
You could
Maybe
ask.
I did know you were hosting.
Oh my god, out of control. It's not just me. Every week during the month is a different person.
Oh, okay.
So it's actually my band that hosts it. It's me and Gideon. I don't know if you've ever seen Gideon the Whistle Guy.
Maybe I probably have.
Yeah, he's an open mic frequenter as well. He doesn't frequent Chatty Monks as much, but he's around. Yeah, you could ask anybody. I think they would say the Hen's up there with the best open mic in town, even like without me being a thing of that. It's just that's where the musicians go. Like a majority of the crowd at that open mic is musicians. Artists, like people are there. Cool. People are there for music. Yeah, that's cool. Because it is hard to find good open mics. Yeah. Zach is a frequenter there too. I think he's there more often than I am.
All the people that I know go there. Chris Milonic, Nick Roman, Zach DeSantis, like all of them go there. When I called you last week when we were supposed to have the podcast, I was
just getting done packing it up.
Chris told me that he had just been with you, and I was like canceled on me. So.
Oh my god, my voice was trash. We were supposed to do this last Friday. Yeah. And my voice died. I was like, "Hey, Rachel, I smoked 4 cartons of cigarettes last night."
That's what you sounded like.
It was bad. It was bad. Yeah, I don't know where it came from too. It wasn't even like a sore throat, just like a lot of phlegm. You were just
probably screaming at the open mic like you always
do. It'd be like that. No, the worst thing that I ever did to my voice was I played a metal show at Reverb, like back when I was in a metal band called Scarlet Moon. I don't think I have a sticker of them up here because. I don't know. They don't have stickers, But, yeah, I was dead. The next day I was talking like this. It was ridiculous.
That's horrifying.
It was. And I had a mohawk. Like, I was, like, going to restaurants. Can I get the chicken tenders?
I can tell this was a mistake. This was a mistake period of your life, right?
I don't know.
Falling apart.
I don't know if I would say that.
You had a mohawk.
Oh, man.
We both know that was not a good decision.
Oh, my God. I don't know. I think I pull off a mohawk.
I know that you don't. Because I know that no one does.
All right, fair enough. I'll drink to that. But yeah, it was kind of a period of falling apart in some semblance because the band I was in before the metal band was this one, and we just disbanded. That's the band that caused the bus to exist.
Oh, okay.
In the state that it does.
Yeah, we're in a bus, guys.
I think it's pretty obvious. Do you like this setup? Like, do you think it's
interesting? Like, it's very creative for sure. I mean, I can tell you're an artist by everything that I'm seeing in here.
Yeah. I try to give it some aesthetic here, but like back there, like she's horrified. She's horrified.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
it's a very large bus, and he's informed me that he wants to one day live in here. So
I would like to travel. Like one of the goals I have.
Oh, you want to travel? Okay, that makes so
that
makes so much more sense than I just want to statically live in this bus.
Yeah, that's not. Okay. That wouldn't be the best, but it is a great. Now that he's
explained that, I feel better.
It's a great home base. Like what I would love to do is travel with the podcast.
Yeah.
You know, and then because I know a lot of people in different states that are really interesting that I would love to talk to.
And plus, people love the opportunity to be interviewed because it makes them feel important.
Yeah, that's why I reached out to you. No, that's awesome. So, do you kind of want to? Let's talk about your album.
Oh, okay. I mean, I'm just getting nervous thinking about it. Yeah. Let's do that. What do you want to know about it?
So how many songs is it? How long is it?
It's 13 tracks.
Okay, so
I don't
full
know how
length.
long, but probably about an hour, I would say.
Nice. So like three minute songs mostly.
Yeah. 1 or 2 or maybe over 3 minutes. Yeah. And
you don't have one giant ballad, 10-minute progressive.
No. Well, I do have one ballad that's a bit longer than the rest of the songs. I mean, you heard His Palace, which is
that one's awesome. Yeah.
That is such an unmixed, undone version of it, but you know, you get an idea of at least what one of the songs is going to sound like. The interesting thing about the album, honestly, is that all of the tracks are different from each other. I was just talking to Jay on the phone before I got here today, and I was saying that, like, we don't know what genre to say the album is because every song is really different from the others. Mm-hmm. So I think there will be something in there for everyone, hopefully. Well, there's no rap, but I haven't dabbled in that yet. At some point, my midlife crisis, I'll come out rapping. But
I just started kind of touching into that
a little bit.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah. I'm making a joke because obviously I cannot rap. But
it's more like because of this podcast, like I collaborate with people, so I have to know some semblance of hip hop music to collaborate with them.
Well, yeah, I do know a bit about hip hop music, and I listen to very little hip hop music. I just get sick of it after listening to it for a while because it all starts sounding the same to me.
It depends. For me, I like specific things.
Yeah.
I like older rap and hip hop, to be honest. Some of the newer stuff is difficult to digest because it reminds me this comedian that I know. He told me there was a joke that he had. It's like a bit where he's like, "Man, all this mumble rap's starting to sound the same," and then his girlfriend goes, "This is the Spanish station."
Wow. Yeah, modern music is not really. I hope when people listen to my album, they'll see that we put in a lot of work, and it's all real instruments, and it's all my lyrics and my melodies, and the work that all of us have put into it has been, it's been a year's worth of work.
Yeah.
You know? So I hope people will see that it's not just some, we put this beat together and threw some words on top of it and added some auto-tune, and here it is. Because that's what most music that is, mainstream today is. Mm-hmm. So.
Do you feel like, generally speaking, that's what people are gravitating toward? Do you think it's because it's easier to do that?
Yeah, I think that, and also I think the more that the more that it's in the mainstream, the more people like it because your senses get dulled. So people aren't attracted anymore to classic rock or folk music or the older stuff. The more, what I would say is more real, kind of like Bob Dylan is one of my favorite artists. He's very, he's a storyteller in his music.
Yeah.
There's seriously no mainstream music that's like that anymore.
Yeah. Mainstream in the sense of, top 40 for sure.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But mainstream in specific genres, top 100 of a category, definitely.
Yeah.
You'd see.
Nothing popular now. Because I know there are people who still do stuff like that, but they're not popular artists.
They're not
successful. Yeah. Sadly.
I mean, I wouldn't say they're not successful. It's just that they're not the billionaires.
Yeah, not successful in the sense that these pop stars are. Is what I mean.
Yeah. To compare them is apples to oranges for sure. No, that's really cool. So, what do you think makes your songwriting process more sincere than some people that are kind of just trying to cram out the next big hit?
Probably the fact that I'm not trying to cram out a big hit. And that's the most honest I can be. I wrote these songs, and you can read about this in the foreword to my album. Just a little self-promo. This whole thing is self-promo. But I wrote about this in the foreword to the album, that I didn't write these songs with an eye to recording them, and I didn't record this album with an eye to it becoming some big thing. I just was going through something, and I was just writing about it until I had nothing left to say, and I wanted closure from it, and the way that I decided to do that was the album. And interestingly enough, I think the closure came the second we started recording. I didn't have to wait till the album came out. The situation is done and over with, and the songs mean, they take on a new meaning now than what they were when I wrote about them. So it's been an interesting process. It's been very emotional. It's been very overwhelming. And I think the fact that I don't have any expectations of how it's going to be is what makes it, I guess you could say, more authentic and more honest than somebody who's writing to get on Q102.
Yeah, I definitely kind of, when I was perusing, I always do a kind of deep dive on my guests, social media and stuff. And I took notice that you space your posts on Instagram pretty organically. You're not trying to do a post a day and just figure out some shit to put up there.
Yeah.
What, obviously that's maybe not the best strategy for growth, but why does that work for you?
Things don't mean anything when you're doing it to get likes. And of course, we all fall victim, in the world of social media. I'm actually a Gen Z, not a millennial, sadly. Well, actually, not sadly. Gen Z is pretty cool. We eat Tide Pods, but other than that, we're doing great.
Bro.
But in the world of social media, of course, everybody falls victim. I want to get likes. I want to get this attention, blah, blah, blah. But I honestly don't have enough to be posting something every day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I post on my story, I think, every day, but I don't have enough to make a post. When I post something, if I post a video or a picture of something that I'm working on, I like to put a meaningful caption with it so people are like, this is literally what I want to share with you. This is what's happening in my life right now. It's important to me. It's making me feel this way, and I think it's awesome, and I want my friends and my family to see it. Stuff like that isn't happening every single day of my life, so I just don't have that to share. And I don't want growth from people who are just following me to follow me, basically.
Yeah.
I want people to be following me and they're interested in what I'm posting. They're interested in my music. They're interested in the process of the album. It's been an amazing process. Anybody who's interested in doing music themselves should be interested in like all of the stuff that I've put up about the album, because we have done everything from scratch.
Yeah.
So
you're talking about like the process.
yeah,
like
the
they should
process
aspire
of
for
making the
that.
album. Yeah, it should be that should be like interesting for people who are actually interested. But if you're following to get a follow back, I don't care. I'm not posting for you.
Yeah.
You know.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Awesome. It's
Yeah.
very, very sincere, genuine response to that question.
I've never thought about that.
Yeah.
It's an interesting question.
No doubt. So, you are a multi-instrumentalist in the sense that you play guitar, sing, and piano, and you want to pick up the harp. There's nothing else? You don't have like some kazoo skills that you're hiding in the back pocket?
No, I can play a little ukulele.
Okay.
But come on,
enough.
that's just guitar with 4 strings. That's just
know.
like baby-sized guitar. When I started learning how to play, I didn't even learn how to play it. I had a friend of mine bought me a ukulele, and he got me a book with it. And when I started looking through it, it's just like, oh, like the C chord is just 1 finger on a fret. This is nothing. After learning guitar, it's nothing.
Yeah.
So I think anybody who plays guitar knows how to play ukulele. You just need to look at it.
Yeah.
But after the harp, I would like to learn how to play mandolin.
Cool.
And then after that, I don't know what's next.
I think if I had the time and dedication, I would love to pick up the violin.
Oh, that's a scary one.
Yeah, because that's one where I've heard from my friends that are good violinists that it sounds awful till you're okay.
Yeah.
And it's like there's no like you're gonna sound okay till you're actually competent, and that's scary to me. Cause
the violin is an intimidating instrument for sure, and the cello.
Precision required.
Any of those instruments with a bow.
I just like Lindsay
And I think
Sterling.
physically it's even painful to have it there when you're first learning.
Yeah. I mean, that's most instruments.
That's true. Because when I first started learning how to play guitar, my fingers were in so much pain.
Yeah.
And even when I started learning how to play piano, my wrists were in pain because I was not sitting right.
Mm-hmm.
So fun fact, when your teacher tells you how to sit, even though it doesn't feel comfortable, do it.
Oh, we got a comment here. I love you both. Can't wait for gold. Oh yeah, Nick Roman. I want to have Nick Roman on this show so bad.
Nick is like the sweetest person. Here's a shout out to Nick. Nick actually wrote one of the lines of my song.
Oh, which song?
It's the second track of the album. It's called At Your Door, and the bridge of it is I guess I need the distance only time can provide. And Nick said that to me in a conversation, I think 2 years ago. And I said to him, I was like, I'm saving that, and someday I'm going to use that on one of my songs. And I did. And now it's on my album. So he's mentioned in the credits, and I figured I'd mention it here.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. People blowing me up right now. Let me just
You're so famous.
Oh, only because of you. I'm just going to mute this even more than I did before. All right, there we go. I have vibrate on, so if any fires happen, I can quench them.
No fire.
No, that's awesome. I want Nick. You know how Nick has that YouTube channel?
Yeah.
Regular car reviews. I want him to review my bus.
I know he would be interested in doing that.
I've had some farmhouse kitchen with him over it.
Oh. And that's his favorite place to eat. I just saw that on his Instagram story, so you're doing it right. You know the way to his heart. Yeah,
for sure. So you were born and raised in Reading?
I was born in Reading, but I actually was raised in Pottstown. I was born in the Reading Birth Center. Mm-hmm. So I'm not really a Reading native. I was raised in Pottstown.
Where do you live now?
I live in a place called Birdsboro.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. It's like
do you rock climb?
Exeter. I don't. I went rock climbing once in Mexico, and it was, I'm not kidding, the worst experience of my life.
Oh, my God.
We went to this, me, my brother, my dad, and my brother's now wife, went to this, like, adventure, It was like an all-day tour.
Mm-hmm.
So we rode four-wheelers, we did zip lining, and we did rock climbing. And they did spelunking in a cave, which I was not.
Spelunking?
I'm horribly terrified of water, like bodies of water, and it was water in a cave. I wasn't doing it. But anyway, we did rock climbing, and it was the worst experience of my life.
Can you tell me about it a little bit?
The harness, like you have to understand physics, which I don't, because I don't like science.
Oh, man.
So you have to understand how to, like, let yourself down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that was the scariest part. And then there was also a crowd of people down below who were also on the tour with us, who had gone down, who were watching me. So it was just the anxiety
pressure,
of doing it in front of people and then not understanding, and also just being scared that I was by myself. I'd never done this before on this cliff. It was hard. It was horrifying.
Mm-hmm.
We also went jet skiing and parasailing.
And you preferred those?
Well, jet skiing was terrifying because I don't like water, and you're cruising through water. I have like a terrible fear of sharks, so I was really worried. And I know
where there were sharks?
I was worried that a shark was gonna come like flip the jet ski, or I don't know. You don't know what's gonna happen. Parasailing was awesome.
Okay, because you were out of the water.
Yeah, you're just up in the air floating. You can see the water, and it's just so vast and unknown. It's scary. Jet skiing was not for me. Ziplining was also really fun. Mm-hmm. And four-wheeling is super fun.
So you like being up in the air as long as...
I'm not afraid of heights. I'm afraid of water. I'm afraid of drowning. I'm afraid of what's under there. Whales scare me. Sharks scare me.
So as long as you're suspended in the air and not on a wall or in water, it's a good time. Okay.
I think the rock climbing would have been better if I had better known what I was doing.
Yeah.
Do you do rock climbing? You seem like a rock climber.
I dabble. I don't want to say that I'm a rock climber because guys like Glyph would come at me and probably.
Oh yeah, he's big into that too.
He's really good. And I've climbed with him a couple times.
Okay.
But
is that how you guys know each other?
Yeah, actually, I think that's how we met. Reading Rocks, that rock gym.
What is that? Base jumping. Is that where you like?
Man.
Do you do that? You seem like you'd be interested in that.
So base jumping is when you jump off a surface with like a parachute.
Yeah, onto another surface, right?
No.
Oh, just onto the
off.
ground?
Yeah, like you have a parachute and you just jump.
None of this is for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I've had conversations with a friend of mine that is interested in doing like wingsuit stuff. That's when you're on a rock face and you jump off and then you have like this Batman like wingsuit. And you just...
I just know this is how people die. So
people die.
Yeah, no, for sure. My brother was just talking to me about how the Red Bull has these wingsuits.
Yeah.
And he wants to try one. And me and my parents were like, that is the worst idea we think you've ever had. And he's had some bad ideas.
Yeah.
So.
I would do it.
No, do it. Go, like, skydiving could be okay. People have done that successfully time and time again.
Yeah, I've gone skydiving.
Oh, really? How is it? Indoor or outdoor?
Both. Indoor is way too expensive. It's like the same price as doing it outdoor. So why don't do that? Don't waste your money. Like, seriously, you have to drive a little further. Actually, right there. Like, if you look behind you, Baltimore skydiving right there. That's where I went. Yeah, so that was terrifying but amazing.
I can imagine.
Yeah. So this is what happened, right? They kind of like gave us the tutorial, like, hey, this is the plane and this is how this works. So like I was telling the guy, like, yo, can I pull the chute? Like, can I be the one that pulls the plunger that releases the parachute? And he's like, yeah, sure, man. And I gave him $10 and I'm like, can we do a flip out of the plane? And he said, yeah. So I gave him $10 extra. And then, like, so we got up, and my adrenaline's going. I'm not looking out the window, because I'm not one of those guys that likes looking out the window when I'm about to jump, however many feet.
This man risked his life and your life for $10.
Well, he's a professional. Like, that's how it works, right? Like, you strap yourself to the dude.
I don't think you should have said the company. This man's going to get fired.
No, they do that. Like,
he took a bribe.
That's
definitely not okay.
But that's like, we ended up doing a crazy thing, and you're allowed to do that, I guess. I'm not going to say the guy's name, partially because I don't remember it. But
so
one of the things that they say is if you don't die, tip your guy. So I gave him like $20, and he let me pull the chute. So that was the coolest thing. Jumping out initially is the scariest thing ever. But once you're out and falling, it's like, all right, I'm just going to accept the reality of the situation.
And then when the parachute comes out, it slows down. Everything slows down.
Oh, my God. Like, it's insane. Like, Have you ever like gone cliff jumping? No.
Do I look like a cliff jumper?
I don't know. I mean, maybe like as a kid.
Like 10-minute bout of rock climbing, and I hated it.
Yeah.
No,
all right,
I've never
fair
been
enough.
cliff jumping.
So you've never experienced like what it feels like to be in free fall?
No.
Okay. Well, you could do that in this gym.
I'm not doing it. I don't want to experience being in free fall. Well, actually, that's not true. I think I would do skydiving. Because parasailing, when you get up there, like it's a little bit rough going up, but you're sitting in this thing basically with a parachute over you, and you're floating over the water, just like you would be when you skydive.
Yeah.
And that was actually a very like peaceful. The noise of the earth goes away as you get up there, and that was super cool. The noise of
the earth.
Yeah.
Can you explain that a little bit?
Like the ocean waves, people playing on the beach, and all that stuff. Like everything as you get, it suddenly goes away. Like you hear nothing up there. There are no birds. There's nothing. It's just peaceful. It's just nothing, but you're watching the world.
Do you feel all powerful up there?
I don't feel all powerful. No, actually, I think it makes you feel kind of small and mortal.
That's
but
cool.
in a good way.
No
doubt.
It
was really awesome. Me and my dad did that together, and it was amazing.
No.
So if skydiving really cool. feels like that when the parachute comes out and you're
it's definitely like a peaceful like humbling experience.
Yeah.
Like when you fall out of the plane, it definitely feels like, you're like
death is coming.
Yeah, like you're just like a bullet coming out of a gun, like like it's insane. And then you pull the chute, and what it is, it's like a golf ball on a string, so you can like grab it easily.
Yeah.
And it like pops, and then doosh, and then you just like you feel that thing happen. And, like, it's like a small jerk. It's not even, like, that drastic. Like, I was expecting way more. Maybe the guy that I was attached to experienced it more than me, but... Yeah, once you're up there, like, he was letting me steer it, and I'm like, oh, cool. It's a very peaceful feeling. Oh, what's up?
That's Kyle Medea.
Oh, hi, guys. Patiently waiting for the album to drop. Definitely. So it's coming out on the 22nd of this month.
19 days. Is today the 3rd of January, right?
It's the 3rd of January. Yeah. That's right.
Yep.
And Kai's the guy that played your
Kyle did all
your
of the
bass
on the album.
Did he slap and pop?
He did both. He did upright and electric.
Oh.
Yeah. It was awesome. He spent so many hours in the studio.
That's awesome.
Yeah. He was great to work with too. And he wrote all like the bass lines and everything too. That's the cool thing. So we had how many musicians? I don't even know, like 8 or 10 musicians work on the album.
Mm-hmm.
And I let all of them, because I hold all the power. They all wrote their own pieces. Like, I didn't write for anybody else.
What's up? Zachy D in the building.
Here.
No, that's awesome, though. Do you want to name drop, like, all the people that are featured on the album?
Okay, okay, yeah. John Paul Smith.
Oh, snap!
Yeah.
That's
very
awesome.
Very exciting.
What did he do?
He did a piano solo for a song called I'd Rather Be in Paris.
That's great.
Amazing. We recorded that at Spiro's studio. Do you know where that is?
Yeah, Kutztown Road.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where this bus used to be.
Really?
In that neck of the woods,
okay.
Yeah.
Lynn Lessig did violin on
I didn't know.
2 songs. 3 songs, but we only kept it on 2 because one of the songs
she played violin. That's awesome.
And Kyle Medea did all the bass. Zach did all of the electric guitar, most of the acoustic guitar, played drums on 2 songs. Jay Fritz Schaefer, who is the CEO and also the producer at Pagoda City Records, he did drums on 1 song and did harmony vocals on one of my songs because I forced him. He's amazing. He's like magical with harmonies. He can find the harmony in any song. It's incredible. Michael Burton is a guy who came from Harrisburg. He did trumpet and saxophone on a couple of my songs.
Nice.
Jamel Stevenson.
Oh,
he did drums on 3 songs.
He's so good.
Rick Tomlinson.
Jamel is so good.
Did drums. You know Rick Tomlinson? He
that
plays
one...
with Melanie a lot.
Yes.
Melanie Alana.
He does like yes.
He did drums for 2 of my songs. I feel like I'm forgetting somebody. I hope I'm not, but I think that's everybody. And then I did everything else.
That's awesome. Well, and then you had Nick give you a couple lines.
Oh yeah, then Nick wrote a line of one of my songs.
That's awesome.
Inadvertently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was amazing. So, working with other people made the experience so much better.
I can relate, and that's one of the reasons I did this podcast.
Yeah.
Is because I like to do stuff like like there's so many things out there, like, so I don't just have musicians on here, you know.
Hang on, Zach said Ani. How can I forget this? Ani Stout. She's one of my best friends. She did harmony vocals on 2 of my songs.
Nice.
She we had a choir for one of the songs, which I'll have to show you a clip from that after we're done here. But she arranged that whole thing and was also one of the singers in the choir. And she's done a lot of the managing and helping me make decisions because I'm very, I'm very emotional. And when it's something that's like your baby, I don't know what it's like to have a child, but I've worked on this thing for a year and it's finally being birthed in 19 days. It's hard to be unemotional and like pragmatic with your decisions, of course. So Ani's been really helpful, and Zach and Jay, of course, have been as well. So it's been a good time. He retracted his message.
That's
Thanks,
awesome.
Zach.
Yeah.
Love you, miss you.
Zachy D always coming in with the clutch.
Yeah.
No, that's super cool.
I actually want to tell the story of how Zach got involved in this album.
Yeah,
because anybody who knows Zach, you know that he's a legend, and you know that he's highly sought after, even though he pretends that he's not either of those things. We all know it's true. Like, I just love smiling because I'm so happy and I'm so like honored that he's working with me. But when I first decided to do the album, I reached out to Jay. We had met once at that awful session. It wasn't awful because of Jay. It was all me. It was the wrong time. But we met at that video shoot that we did, and I later messaged him. It was a couple of months afterward, and I was like, I want to do a full-length album. Can I do this at your studio? Like, is this something you can do? Would you be interested? Etc., etc. He said yes, and I had this idea in my head that I just wanted all real instruments. I don't want anything electronic or from the computer, as we talked about before. So my plan was to reach out to everybody that I had met through like the open mic circuit, and everybody plays different instruments and has different talents, and I wanted them all to come work on the album with me and write music pieces, like instrument pieces. So that's what I did, and Zach was one of the people that I reached out to, and I messaged him, and I was like, hey, I'm recording this album. I would love for you to come like play guitar for 1 or 2 of the tracks, because I don't want to hit somebody with the, hey, do you want to write for 13 songs and spend the year with me? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just messaged him that, and he responded with like 27 questions, like, who's recording the album? Are they all originals? How many songs is it? What else did he ask me? So he just asked me all these questions about how I was doing it, when I was doing it, who I was doing it with, and I just was answering them. I was like, okay, I guess this is a no. Again, remember, Zach and I didn't know each other. Zach and I didn't know each other very well. I thought he was being like judgmental and like, this is never gonna work. Why are you trying? You know what I mean? Like,
who do you think you are?
So I answer all of his questions, and he says, okay, I'm gonna do the whole thing with you. And then he did the whole thing with me. So now we're closer than ever. And
so was he working
amazing.
at Pagoda City at the time?
No, this all kind of happened at like the same time. Like, he met Jay. They really hit it off, I guess, that night that I was recording my terrible video. And then we became close through recording there. And I think like right before we started recording the album, Jay and Zach already had something in the works for him starting to work there. And then it all kind of happened that Zach knew me and Jay knew me, and I wanted to record this album there anyway. And then Zach had agreed to do the whole thing with me. So I think, you'd have to ask them about the exact timeline, but I'm pretty sure it all was kind of happening in the same, like, 3-month period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Working with Zach, have you ever done any projects with him?
I've jammed with Zach a few times.
Yeah.
And I did one project with him, and it was this podcast, and I need to release the episode where we jam on a track that he made, and I will actually show you something.
Okay. Really quick. He's going back into the bus abyss. He made this?
We made this because this was the lyrics to the song, and we had to have them on the floor and the chords and everything. So keep an eye out. I don't want to spoil too much. If you want to pause it and look at that, you can. But
yeah.
I need to post that because I think of all the songs I've done, I don't want to say that one's the best one, but my God, is it probably the most tasteful, like, listening back to it. I'm like, oh, that feels good.
And this is Zach's song, or you guys wrote together? What?
He wrote it. I added some guitar to it, and I layered some vocals with him.
Zach, I could gush about Zach for days, but he was so, everybody can. Everybody that knows him can. He was so, he's intuitive. I've said this a million times. I've told him this a million times, but he's so intuitive, and that's what's so different about him, because you've been to the open mics, you've been around the Berks County music scene. There's so many talented people. There's so many good singers, songwriters, musicians, all that. But Zach has something different, and he has this like emotional intelligence and this intuition with other people that really just draws you into what he's doing. And I could like remember clear as day the first time that I saw him perform. He played Slip Sliding Away by Paul Simon, and I was just weeping uncontrollably. And I was like, who is this guy? He's so good. But yeah, then working with him was even more special and different, because he's working on my songs and he just knew immediately what I wanted from the song before I even said what I wanted. Mm-hmm. And so that is really different, and I think that's why people like to work with him, and people are constantly asking him to write for their bands or play in their bands, and like everybody wants to work with Zach DeSantis.
Stop.
Because he's so Zach, get off of here. You can't hear this. Like your ego. I'm gonna inflate your ego too much. But yeah, he it was amazing. And I knew the first time, so we did all the pre-production together. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna get into the nerdy aspects because not everybody who's watching this is gonna be nerdy about the music, but we did all the pre-production together, just me and Zach. It was most sessions were just me and him in the studio. And I think it was the first or second session that we did together. He brought his Nord, his beloved Nord.
Oh, yeah. He brought that with as well for my collaboration.
He brings it
with
everywhere.
It's
he's like always lugging around his guitar and his Nord. And his back is already broken. It's just he's getting worse.
His back. It's his shoulder.
I'm really worried about his injuries. But
anyway,
so we had this session, and he brought in this Nord, and I use a real piano at home. So actually, I have a keyboard now, but I was using only a real piano, so I don't know how all the electronic, like I don't know how all the settings work. That is a very confusing keyboard, also, and that's Ani. So he was, I got distracted by this comment. He's using this keyboard, and then he got up to get a drink or something, so he had to leave the studio. And while he was gone, I was like, I want to mess around on the keyboard. So I go over, and I'm like trying to figure out how to turn it on, how to get it to the grand piano setting. I didn't know how to use it. 15 seconds later, he comes like panting back in the room, and I'm like, what are you doing? And he says, I just knew that you were going to want to play this while I was gone. And I knew you didn't know how to turn it on and get it to the settings that you want. So he did it. He put it to my settings and let me play it while he was gone. But and that was the moment that I knew, like the fact that he thought of that when he left, and he knew me well enough. At that point, we weren't that close. Yeah. But that's what I mean by his intuition is just so good. And it only got further and just more developed as we worked together. So I'll
tell a story about Zach. So
this is not about my album.
Yeah,
oh my God. How much we love
Zach. We could have a live love Zach segment. Yeah. See why not? So I sold a guitar to my friend Gideon that's in my band.
Yeah.
And we were hosting open mic, and he brought it, and it looks like the Marty McFly hollow body, like it's an Ibanez, but like the hollow body style with the whammy bar and everything. And Zach was there, and he wanted to play it, and I had just played on it because I'm like, I missed this guitar already, kind of thing. So Zach plays it in such a unique way, and it's like, the way he was using the whammy bar was just so tasteful. I'm like, bro, like a little of everything. It's so good. And I'd known Zach at the time, and I complimented him at the time. Stop.
He has the Midas touch. He really has the Midas touch. Hi, Ani.
He really knows how to flavor music without, and it's a really mature quality of a musician to be able to do that, where you don't need to be the front, like the most important thing that's happening. You can just flavor the song.
That's what I'm saying. Zach has like this. I hate that he's watching this, but I'm just gonna say this, and then we'll be done with the I Love Zach segment. Zach has this quiet confidence that immediately, like, you want to listen to whatever he's saying, and you trust him immediately, because he doesn't need to be in the front all the time. He's not glamorous. He's not in your face like I'm the most talented person here. Blah. He doesn't have that attitude at all. In public or in private. Like, he's just a man of integrity all the way around, and I think that's that combined with his talent and combined with his intuition, and like I said, I think he has this emotional intelligence that he tries to hide and pretend isn't there, but he does, and that's what makes him so much different than other people, and that's why it's been so amazing working with him. This album would be nothing without him.
Yeah, he's got that like stare you in the face while you pee your pants confidence. And if anyone wants to know that reference, go watch Zach's interview.
I do. I watched Zach's interview, so I do know that reference.
So we could probably end that there. Yeah. The I Love Zach segment.
Yeah, Zach, we're done. So you can sign off now.
So let me ask, like, I was, like I said, I dove into I was setting a lot of this stuff up yesterday.
Yeah.
And I was digging into your music and just listening to a lot of the things that you have posted on your YouTube channel. A lot of originals, a lot of covers. What inspires you to cover a song? What makes you decide, like, I need to cover that?
Well, some of them are just easy.
Yep.
You know, some of them are just easy. Like you mentioned that you really liked my Ain't No Sunshine cover. That's just an easy song because everybody knows it. Everybody likes it for the most part. And even if you don't like it, you know it and you know the words and you'll be able to sing along. And some songs, I think, if you went back to, like, I used to cover a lot of, like, Drake songs, The Weeknd, things like that. I think it's interesting when somebody can do their own version of a song that you would never imagine in that way. So taking some kind of R&B or hip-hop song or pop song and making it into something acoustic and kind of alternative and emotional, when you strip something down to the lyrics,
yeah,
I think that's really interesting. And you commented on my Maroon 5 cover on my Instagram. That was one of those songs where it's like it's a pop song, but actually the lyrics kind of are emotional.
They're significant, yeah.
And when I stripped it down to just the acoustic, I thought it was pretty cool. So, Havana by Camila Cabello, do you know that song?
Yeah.
That's also another hit at open mics. I think just because it's so interesting, just an acoustic version of that song. You're so used to hearing the pop version with the rap verse and everything, that hearing it acoustic is just different. So that's what makes me want to do covers of those songs. And I think it would be
because you think, I can do justice to this in my own way.
Yeah, or I think it would be cool. Sometimes I'm like, I think it would even be cooler than what the actual song is. To hear this acoustic. I just like things stripped down though.
Yeah.
So that's my vibe.
Yeah, I mean it can definitely get you closer to a song the fewer instruments are in it. There's less to digest.
Yeah.
And if it's done well, it makes you more intimately connected.
I am all about the emotions and not about the production. And I think every person who's worked with me can attest to that. So anything that's stripped down and makes you feel something is what I'm drawn to and what I want to give.
Yeah.
So
that's powerful. So, what are some of your inspirations? Like, what are some of the bands that inspire you?
Ooh.
Or artists, besides, like, Taylor Swift?
Well, the reason Taylor Swift inspired me is just because Taylor Swift can really reach out to any female, I think, ever. Because she's just ripping pages out of her own diary, and I think most of us have gone through the same thing, generally speaking. I mean, we're all kind of experiencing the same life, and people are pretty transparent. So that was her lyrics. I know that Taylor Swift gets a lot of beef just in general, but her lyrics are so good, especially as like a young female. I can relate to almost every single song she's ever released. So even with the genre changes and everything, her lyrics have remained steady, I think. Yeah. Colby Calais, I mentioned earlier. I think the sound of her music is really nice, really mellow. She's very focused on her vocals. I have trained my voice. Like, I literally, when I was younger, I would listen to her and be like, I want to sound like her, and I would train my voice to sound like her. Now I think my voice has changed into what it actually is, but I started basically by trying to imitate Colby Calais' voice. So when it comes to that, like I said, Bob Dylan is a huge inspiration. I just think he's such a good lyricist, and I like the way that he talks about the things that he believes, and he just can get to the deeper parts of life in his music in a non-corny way, which I think people try to do it, and it just comes off as like you're trying to be philosophical and deep, and you're not actually.
Yeah.
But Bob Dylan is very real in the way that he does it. Van Morrison is another huge.
Oh, nice.
I just
dude.
love. If you like one of Van Morrison's songs, you like them all. I love mellow artists. Like, I really, really do. So
I got that vibe from your music too. Like, even like your original stuff has the same feel as like a lot of the people that you're naming. Like, maybe not the same genre, but it's the same emotive response.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I'm afraid of. I don't know if you were going to ask me if we were doing a tour or anything when the album comes out, but I figured that question was going to pop up. But we're talking about doing a tour, and honestly, one of my biggest fears is I don't know how to put on a show because I don't do like pop music. I don't do this energetic thing. Like if you come to my show, it's going to be Norah Jones is another huge. It's going to be like a Norah Jones. You're sitting there to feel things.
Yeah.
So if that's not what you're here for, sister, this isn't for you. You know what I mean? And I think
I do.
Music has become entertainment. Whereas I think it's meant to be inspirational. It's meant to make you feel things. It's meant to move you. It's meant to make you think about things differently. It's not meant to just entertain you.
Yeah.
And that's what mainstream, this is why I have such a beef with mainstream pop, even though it's fun to listen to in the car. It's just dulled people's senses to that. And I do have a fear of, are people going to want to sit and be in their feelings for an hour and a half while I'm playing? You know what I mean?
I think it depends on the venue. Obviously, if you don't go out of your way to promote it like it's going to be some big like Metallica, 21 Pilots kind of crazy ordeal, you know, then it's, you know, people are going to expect to hear your music the way you're showing that you've been playing it, you know. Like on your YouTube channel, it's just you being intimate with the audience. Like, hey, this is me playing. And, like, maybe there's an ambulance going off in the background.
Which one did you watch at that happened?
I can't remember.
Was it Put Your Records On? I think it was.
I think so, yeah. I was kind of just listening to a playlist of just all your stuff while I was setting things up. And then I was, like, looking at specific ones. Like, the one original that stood out to me that I had on repeat was Dear Woman. That is so sincere.
It's on the album.
Yeah. Do you want to kind of tell me, like, what was, like, some of the motivation behind that song?
Oh, boy.
You don't have
the emotions.
to.
No, I will, because it's important.
Yeah.
I think if you've ever been in love, you get to a point, if it's real and you really care about the person, you get to a point where if you realize that you're not right for the person and it's not right, there's this element of, like, sacrifice. And that's what that song is about. It's about saying, like, okay, I'm walking away and I hope that the next woman who loves you does it right. Because even though it's not me and I want it to be me, ultimately I want you to be good and happy and have the right thing in your life for you. And that's what that song is about. I think there was one night I was listening to, like, a Spotify curated playlist. I don't remember. It was like a Gladys Knight and the Pips playlist, like some of that old soul music, which I really love. And I think it was just, I don't even remember who it was. It was some artist from the 60s or 70s, and it was a song from one woman to another, and it was the same concept. And I remember sitting there. I didn't even really like the song, but I liked the content. Like, I didn't really like the melody. I wasn't crazy about what the song sounded like, but the content was so moving. I was, like, laying in my bed just crying to this song. Oh, man. And I was like, this is so real, and I relate to it. So I think it was like 2 days later I wrote that song. I wrote that song at like 2 a.m, and the next day I played it at an open mic, which I never do. But I was so happy with that song. It was one of the so you're a songwriter, so you probably know what this feels like. It was one of the few songs that I've written that when I was done, I sat back and played it, and I just thought, I cannot believe I just wrote this song.
Yeah,
because objectively I think it's a good song. Which doesn't happen because you're always so critical of yourself. And I think I listened to that song. I wrote, so good. Thanks.
I wrote like one of those this year, and it was one that I kind of had on the back burner. Like, oh, I don't have the time, or I don't have the know-how to finish this. And then I just heard like one song from a different band that just was like, oh, that's what I need. This influence from here.
Yeah.
I need some off-time thing like it was here, and it was the first like It was the first progressive rock acoustic song I've ever written, and it is awesome. And it's kind of about my views on, I don't want to say like religious views, but it's like it's my take on people's place in the grand scheme of things. It's pretty deep song.
This.
Yeah, I got you after the podcast.
Anything that makes me
jam.
Emotional, I'm into.
No
yeah,
doubt.
Dear Woman. Even after I recorded that, and that's funny because I wrote that song so long ago, but still every time I play it, even when we recorded that song for the album, it was hard for me to get through because I immediately go back to that place. So it's just hard. Even after I recorded that YouTube video, probably somewhere on my computer you can find me crying afterward. In the extended version that I didn't put up there, I think I cried afterward because just, you feel it.
Yeah.
You just remember.
No, you have to pour it all out, and then there's a little extra. Yeah. It's like, the guitar's down. It's got to go somewhere.
A Rachel Dodson show will definitely be a tearjerker, mostly for me.
Yeah, mostly for me. That's awesome.
Yeah, I like feeling things, though, because I think that's when music is at its best.
Yeah.
I think you can actually be not a 10 out of 10 singer or not a 10 out of 10 musician, but if you play with enough feeling and you write with enough feeling, you're going to have as big of an effect as like Adele's voice. You know what I mean? So I think it's all about authenticity, and I think people see that no matter what they like, no matter where they're from, no matter who you are, no matter what you've been through or what they've been through, people see what's real and what isn't.
Yeah.
So
no, that's definitely powerful too. Do you think writing music out of negative emotions is easier than writing it out of like happy ones?
Yes.
Why is that?
I don't know. I have tried writing happy songs, and actually there's a song on the album that's the most pop, I think, which is called I'd Rather Be in Paris. I fought with Jay, Zach, and Ani to take this song off of the album because I was like, it's so whimsical, and I don't know what it is. I'm just not drawn to music like that. I don't know why. I think it's just because in my day-to-day life, I'm not really a sad or depressed or angry person. But in music, I am. Like, because I think that's where I take it out.
Yeah,
so if music
absolutely.
isn't fulfilling that part of me, I'm like, well, then what is it here for?
Yeah.
So I don't know what it is. I don't know why it's like that. I just, for whatever reason, happy songs to me are kind of corny. There are some that I like. There are some that I've written that I don't hate. But I think I just turn to music when I'm feeling sad, and that's what comes out.
Yeah. I think, like, I agree with you, that it's, what music is to me and so many other artists is it is a method to express those emotions so that you can put them out into the world instead of holding on to them. It's easy to get through the good times. You know what I mean? You don't need to write a song about it.
Yeah.
But if like the song that exactly. You don't need to self-medicate with your music. But the song like I wrote, it's not so depressing. It's just one of those things where I had a lot to say. And I had a guy, Ethan McKenna, who's the only formal guitar lessons I've ever had. And he's in a band called Black Crown Initiate, probably going all that stuff's going way over your head. But one of the things
I know it.
Yeah. One of the things he said in his interview that I hold with me to this day is that if you're having trouble writing music, it's because you don't have something to say. And maybe you should go, yeah.
That's really true, because there are times I sit down and I want to write a song, but nothing's coming out.
Yeah. You need to go experience something.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to, like, so that's, like, the song I just mentioned to you. It's not that it's a depressing song, even though some of the lyrics are maybe seem that way, but then other lyrics could be expressed as, like, oh, man, like, this is about coming together.
Did you listen to my song New Society? That's on my YouTube channel.
I did.
That's a lot like that.
Yeah.
Where it's more of a kind of a social commentary, kind of a like self-reflective song. It's not sad, but it's not necessarily a happy song either. So I think I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, no doubt.
The energy of what you're talking about. Yeah, I actually remember I'd never played music for my parents. Honestly, to this day, I still don't. I don't know why. I don't know if you have that anxiety. I can go play for a crowd of people. I do have stage fright, but it's much easier for me to go play for strangers or for my friends than to play for my family. I don't know why, but I just, like, can't bring myself to do it. But recently I've been a bit more bold and, like, playing in front of them and stuff. And my mom said to me, and just to go back to what we were talking about, she was like, Rachel, you're such an energetic person, but your music is so depressing. What's happening? And it was the first time I think I ever thought about that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it is, yeah, I don't want to hold on to it in my day-to-day.
Yeah.
So it's cathartic to write about it.
Absolutely.
And then I just, let it out that way, and I don't need to walk around with, like, this dark cloud over my head all day,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What's the biggest show you've ever played for, like, what number of people?
Oh, I don't know. I've actually never really played... Zach and I played this cat show a while ago.
Cat show?
I'm still trying to forget about it.
What's that mean, cat show?
It was a charity event for cats.
Oh.
I don't remember how many people were there, but I think it was the longest set I've done. It was an hour and 10 minutes long.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I've really only done open mics. Mm. I've never played my own show. I've never been a headliner of any sort anywhere. Mm-hmm. So if we do a tour, it'll be my first time doing anything like that, which is, of course, always.
Yeah, that's biting a big bite off of the cookie there.
That's scary.
Yeah.
It's horrifying.
So let me ask you this. Like, do you have venues lined up that you would want to play at?
Well, Ani, who is, like, partially my manager, partially my assistant, partially my emotional caretaker, she is interested in music management and stuff like that.
Nice.
And she is looking into all that stuff for me, so I don't know. She's going to bring it to me when it's ready. I get so anxious and worked up about things that I don't want to deal with them basically until it's happening. You know what I mean?
I do.
So I don't want her to tell me about it until it's like, Rachel, we have this place and we're playing there next week and you and Zach are going to go practice. Like, that's how I would prefer it to be. I don't want to have to set anything up because I'll get in my head.
Yeah. So
I don't know, but we're hoping for places between, like, Lancaster and Philly.
That's interesting. Like, the way that you're describing, like, your mental headspace there, that I just had a fight that came up a few weeks ago, and I'm the same way where I don't want to think about the fight. I want to think about sharpening myself. When I get there, I'll worry about it.
I'll deal with it.
The longer I dwell on it, the worse it's going to be for my confidence. Yeah.
It's so bad. And like, since we've put out the release date, which is January 22nd, by the way, guys, the anxiety has been so high. I can't, like, just knowing that it's coming rather than it just dropping on me one day it's so hard. But I mean, it is what it is. It's life. And you get anxious about things that you care about, so it's a good thing. Right?
No doubt.
Let's go back to Zach for a second, because I just want to say this for other artists. Not that I have anything inspirational to say, guys. I don't know, but I haven't done anything yet. When my album comes out, then maybe I'll have room to talk. But one time Zach and I were talking in the studio, and we were having, like, a deeper conversation, and he told me that one thing he regrets is that he didn't take his music seriously in the beginning. And that... Like
his original music?
I think just in general, he did his craft. Like, he didn't take it seriously just because nobody paid attention to him or whatever. You know, you're just a local musician. Why should anybody care? I think that's what he meant. Like, he just didn't take it seriously. And he wished that he had. So I'm kind of taking that with me, because I definitely have had the tendency to kind of be like, whatever, it's an album, blah, you know. Nobody's going to listen to it or care. But it doesn't matter. Like, it's your work. No matter who listens to it or whatever happens next with the album. I've spent a year of my life, and other people, Jay and Zach and Ani, have spent a year of their lives working on this album. All these musicians have given me their time and their energy and their talents on this album. And that's important, no matter if 50 people hear it or, 50,000 people hear it. Yeah. So, that's just, I wanted to say that just for any artists that are listening. Because you should take what you're doing seriously. And if you're good at it and you're passionate about it and it means something to you, it has meaning no matter who cares about it or who doesn't.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
You start crying. Brad's about to start weeping.
It's like, yeah, man. We all have such a short time.
Yeah, just really needed to hear that today. But yeah, that really stuck with me. So.
Yeah. I think that's really important. If you can have that mature view on that, like, it can set you up to be really valuable to collaborate in, a plethora of different situations.
I just want to keep enjoying it.
Yeah.
I don't want it to turn into work, and I don't want it to turn into something where, like, I'm disappointed every time I don't hit 1 million streams on Spotify. You know what I mean? I think that turns, and that's why so many people give up on their dreams, because you have these, like, lofty expectations. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't, shoot for the moon, but it's realistic that you'll land among the stars, to pull that quote out. But yeah, I think it's important to just keep doing it and keep enjoying it. And there's so much other stuff going on in my life that it doesn't matter. I'm enjoying so much. And I don't want to ever stop enjoying music. So I think that happens for people when you make it this thing where you need to get famous off of it, or you need to make money, or you need to get in touch with John Mayer or whatever. You know what I mean? So I think that's why a lot of bands around here fall apart too. It's like you're hoping for this big thing and just enjoy what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know who you're in. Like, you change one person, you change the entire world. You don't know who at Mike's Tavern that night you're inspiring.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It could be one or two people who go off and do something that you don't know anything about.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important no matter what the scale is that you're working with.
Yeah. That band I was in, The Climbing, I think we did more as a band than any other project that I've been in. And it was all because we knew we wanted to be more than we were, but we were letting it grow however it was going to grow. We were just saying yes to everything, and then that was opening new doors. And it's one of those things where, yes, you want to, like you mentioned, you want that million plays on Spotify.
Yeah.
But it's about the journey, not the top of the mountain, you know?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm always chasing, that journey aspect of things, you know?
I think people don't know, even just in your, like, small local life, how much you inspire other people.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's what you're out to do, like, if that's what you want to do with your music, why does it matter if it's 2 people from your hometown and not, you know, 1 million people all over the world?
Yeah.
Like, you're still doing the same thing. And I just, to go back to Zach for the millionth time, sorry, Zach, but Zach has inspired me so much. I think Zach's incredibly successful. You know what I mean? And there's so many people who wouldn't be satisfied with what he's reached. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, even he's unsatisfied with it, but that's
Yeah.
part of it. You know, you want to continue to grow.
Yeah.
And that mindset that he has is the reason that he continually grows.
Yeah. And he does.
Yeah.
And Jay is the same way. I mean, Jay is doing the whole thing. Just started his own record label. Is this the first one in Reading? Is this the first record label out of Reading?
I wouldn't say that.
Yeah, probably one of the first.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think
maybe
there are, like, tons coming out of Reading.
Yeah, definitely not. But I think there's definitely a bunch of independent labels around.
Yeah.
For different genres specifically, and things like that.
At any rate, he just started his own record label at age 30.
Yeah.
And has signed artists. And,
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? We just finished recording this whole album. Everybody's doing something, and it's all important. So that's how I view it. I think getting stuck in the clout chasing, that's what everybody's doing.
Yeah,
you know
that's what dropping the Instagram post today thing is all about, I guess.
Yeah, clout chasing. And it's not that I don't want people to be involved, or I don't want people to care about what I'm doing. I do. I just think it's, like, asinine to make your whole career about that.
Yeah.
Or make your music is so personal. I have been writing and singing and playing guitar since long before I ever did it for somebody else. You know what I mean? I started writing when I was 8 years old. I did not play live anywhere until I was 17. 9 years of just, it was for me, by me, to me, about me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It was just for me.
Yeah.
I mean, like, my brother and my sister heard some of it. That's it. Some of my friends. Nobody heard my music. And then even at that, I played at this one thing at Rack. I played 2 songs because I was being forced to do it, and I didn't want to do it, and I hated the experience because the stage fright was unbelievable. But even at that, I didn't play again for another year or so. And then it was after that I started going to Chatty Monks, and I started doing my YouTube channel and all of that, and I decided that I wanted to do music in a bigger way. But it was never about other people. It was never about who heard it. It was never about how it affected other people. So I think it's kind of sad that a lot of people, that's what they are going for.
Yeah. I think it's not bad to have the desire to inspire others and want to grow because you want to touch a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
I think the problem is people get so caught up with the strategies.
Yeah.
Of how it's done. Like, oh, this is how this person I'm following is doing it. This is the way I need to do it. Kind of
Yeah, no,
thing.
my point is not that I think that desiring success and striving to be successful is a good thing. Wanting to get bigger and better is obviously a good thing. What I'm saying is when it consumes you to the point that you're not even enjoying what you're doing and you're just doing it to get some type of attention or notice in whatever way, money, fame, whatever it may be, that's when it becomes inauthentic. That's when people see, oh, this is just a mainstream pop song that came out just to be a mainstream pop song and make tons of money. You lose everything that music is supposed to be. I think that's really frustrating.
Yeah.
I'm getting frustrated talking about it.
No doubt. It's such a multifaceted issue too.
Yeah.
It's like, sure, we can identify the problems, but what are the solutions?
Yeah.
And then it's like, what could it be?
I think it's just being content where you are.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You might never make it big. You might make it big and it's absolutely nothing you thought it would be. Because I think that happens a lot. I think people get famous and it's like, oh no, this actually is not what I wanted at all.
Yeah. Well, me and you were talking about Jordan Peterson a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
And one of the things that he said that like meant a lot to me, and I kind of manifested it in a different way. So maybe I'm not translating it exactly the way he said it. But when you say like, I'm fine just the way I am, that's the most true and false thing that you can say. Because of course, you are a culmination of everything that you've done to make you who you are today.
Yeah.
You are your flaws and your successes. But if you're content with that and not desiring to grow, that's where the problems come in.
Yeah.
And that's a big belief of mine. Sure, I'm fine on this bus right now.
Right.
Like, I barely have it set up to do what I want to do in the future.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to let it stop me from continuing to have amazing people like you on my show,
Yeah. When I say being content where you are, I don't mean you should be just stagnant and not working towards something more. I think you should always be working towards being a better person, doing better at whatever talents you have. I think there's a walk that everybody has their own individual walk, and it's set out for you, and you should be pursuing that for sure, 100%. But I don't think it should constantly be this like begrudging, I hate where I am, I wish it was better, I wish I was making more money, I wish I was more famous, I wish whatever, like fill in the blank. And I think a lot of people are constantly wishing for things to be different, but not really for any good reason. It's usually selfish.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I mean more by you should be content where you are in a way that still is like, I'm still working towards my goals, but I'm happy with where I am too.
Yeah.
It's hard, but I'm saying that, but that's obviously very hard.
Yeah.
Because everybody wants more,
Yeah.
And I think probably no matter how big or successful in whatever way you're striving to be, when you get there, there's always something to complain about.
No doubt.
I mean, even George Harrison was part of the biggest band in the world. He could do anything he wanted. And I don't know if you know a lot about the Beatles. I hope that you do.
Yeah.
Legendary.
I think I have a Beatles poster right there.
Oh,
actually.
yeah, you do. But he was apparently extraordinarily unhappy with the life of a famous person. He hated that he couldn't go to just a grocery store and be unnoticed.
A lot of people have that gripe. There's
Taylor Swift has talked about that. Because people break into her houses all the time. They find her location. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, people break into her houses. Thankfully, usually when she's not there, she's at a different one of her houses.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the luxury.
That's
but
insane. Somebody's
breaking into your house nonetheless. So there is like a dark side to everything. And
that's quite dark.
I'm just hoping I don't get to a point. My point is I want to be just happy with what I'm doing. I like music. I like being in the studio. I would like to do more full-length projects like this. I hope people will love it when the album comes out. I hope they'll buy it. I hope it'll inspire them.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not really worried about what's next at this point.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Now, call me after the album's out.
Yeah.
I'm so disappointed in what happened. Or, I don't know. We have no idea what's going to happen, but I might have a totally different tune.
Mm-hmm. No, that's awesome. I'm excited to hear the refined versions of a lot of these songs, too.
Yeah.
So not all of the ones that are on the album are on your YouTube channel. You only have a couple peppered in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm hoping to find, a new favorite. Because right now, my favorite Rachel Dodson original is Dear Woman. For sure.
I've made people cry. I've made people cry with that one.
My heart was like going, oh my god, Kali Ma.
Oh,
like,
really?
Yeah.
You don't seem like a very emotional person, so that means
I am though. I like if you.
I mean, you're a songwriter, so obviously I know you are.
Yeah, but even like at the bar, like when at Chatty Monks, I emote greatly, just not in a way that people appreciate a lot of the time.
Okay, that's true.
It's still, I'm still very emotive.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's nice to hear. I'm glad it's weird. I don't know. It's weird when I hear people say stuff like that.
Yeah.
In a good way. I'm obviously flattered.
No doubt. Yeah, it's those deep songs that have me, like, I have a tendency to, I'll throw a song on repeat when it means something. Yeah, we're grinding everything out of this thing right now.
I want to listen to this until I never want to hear it again.
Exactly, yeah. Churn that butter. I want every last drop out of this thing.
So what if you could, like, give me a piece of advice, since you've been doing this longer than me? What would it be?
Let me ask you a question first.
I'm scared.
Okay. So, when you play a show, do you only want to play original music?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Haven't thought about it.
All right.
But probably more original than covers. Yeah.
That's awesome. And I'll give you a little anecdote of my experience here.
Okay.
So, obviously, majority of musicians prefer to play their original stuff. Yeah. Right? There's only a few people that prefer to do their covers, in my personal experience. The problem is the crowd. If you're going out to play a show for people who are not exactly your fans, because you don't have a million plays on Spotify and people don't know who you are as a famous person, you need to figure out how to get the audience interested in you in that first impression window. So what I found in my tenure as a performing musician is that playing a blend of covers and originals is a good way to get people to digest your stuff, even when they don't really know who you are. Mm-hmm. And something that is like a hidden strategy of mine is that I'll play some covers that people don't know unless you really know that band. Like, this isn't one of their top hits off that album. Yeah. This is one that I feel really well doing, and it's one that, like, ripped me out to when I heard it. And I was like, I need to, like, express my own emotions through the channel of this song.
Yeah.
And that's why I cover it. And some people are like, yo, did you write that? And it's like, nah, man, that's Muse. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, whoa, I love the way you did that. So another piece of advice on top of that is you already have a buttload of covers. That's going to fill your 3-hour window for playing a common bar gig where you will be booked to play like 3 hours.
Yeah.
My advice would be to try to find one of those. And there's offline, I can give you my list of bars to reach out to try to do it.
Actually, it's funny that you're saying that because I think I never want to play at a bar.
Okay. So what venues do you think you would like to play at?
I don't know. Stuff that's like more quiet, underground, intimate. And I would still love to do covers, though, because I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
When you're out to play for people, you're serving them in some way.
Yeah, absolutely. So me, I prefer.
I also love playing covers. It's not like I don't enjoy it.
Yeah. And obviously, they mean something to you if you picked it up. In my experience, playing at bars gets you better reception. And this is coming from a guy who's not a rich and famous musician, right? I played plenty of shows where I opened for bigger bands. Bands you probably never heard of because they're like metal stuff and stuff like that. Because that's when I was in Scarlet Moon, that metal band. That's what we were doing mainly, was playing these bigger venues, which is amazing in its own right. Because you get to be loud and you have fun and be really energetic on stage with a team of guys that's doing the same.
Yeah.
Because you want to put on that show.
Freddie's wiling out.
Yeah, you only have a handful of people out there in the audience that knows who you are, and the rest are just like, I'm waiting for the headliner. So sure, you get to play your small chunk of all your best material.
Yeah.
But you don't get to play as the focal point of the audience.
Yeah.
You know, like when you play at a bar, that 3-hour window, you have to fill it. And you want to put some covers in there. In Reading, I'm saying, too, because there's other places where I could just legit jam and just play all originals, and it's gonna go over really well. Those are really specific places, underground kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hope that gives you
I'll
something
take
that definitely.
Because I actually have been thinking about, because my album isn't long enough to do like a full show with.
I mean, you could, but it would be one of those things where a good size show, even like let's say you're going out to see a band at a concert, should be about 3 hours, right? There's 3 acts, each of them take about an hour or so, right? Or like maybe the first one's like 30 minutes, next one's like 40 minutes, and they're doing tear down and set up for the next band and everything, and the headliner's like an hour or so.
Okay, yeah.
So teaming up with people is a great strategy. In fact, you can play good bar shows like that. In fact, I've leveraged that a lot of times, because not only do you get them to bring their friends, if they're a reliable person and you trust, like, oh, are you going to invite like your group of people that normally follows you? That would be really cool.
Yeah.
And then like now they get an opportunity where they get to play a little bit and then hang out with their group of people while we play the rest of the show. So it's a win-win in a lot of ways that you wouldn't see on paper.
Okay.
Yeah. So like, oh, we have to split the pay, but it's like, yeah, but you don't have to work as much.
Yeah.
And you can really pour out in those 2 hours instead of that 3 hours if you had someone open for you or something.
Yeah. I just want it to be fun if I were to do something like that.
Mm-hmm. It is. It's one of those things where like at the end of the night when you're packing up, that's when like the crash happens. That's when your sugar rush comes crashing down. Yeah. So it's amazing during the event. In fact, I played shows sick before, and I do not recommend that. But it's one of those things where, like, it was one of my early ones. So I'm like, oh, I need to do this. And I was in a band, so I didn't have to do too much singing. But, man, I remember that, and I remember when we were done, I was like, dude, I need to go home now. Like, everyone pack my stuff up. I'll take my cut. I need to. Yeah, exactly. I need all the medicine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you comfortable?
I'm very comfortable. Honestly,
Nice.
Your bus is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think it's won me over finally.
Yeah, finally. It takes some time for people, but
it's a little creepy.
It is. I mean,
it's a little weird.
But that's how you keep people away from it, because I don't want people looking in here. You know what I mean?
That does not make me feel more comfortable.
I mean, it's more of like I don't want kids like running around it, because I've had, you know what I mean. When I first
thinking this is their bus.
Yeah, well, it's just like, oh, look at this abandoned bus. Let's go hang out and jump on it and stuff. It's like, no, I want it to look a little like, obviously the thumbnail right now is it looks like a prison bus, so it's an interesting vibe. I'm
not being held hostage, guys. Yeah, it's okay.
But it's all about that cosmetic aesthetic, It's the reason girls like makeup. It's because it makes you look beautiful. You know what I mean? This looks like a prison bus. Yeah. People don't like prison. They're gonna stay away from the bus.
Okay, that's honestly airtight logic.
Yeah.
So I can't argue with it.
Yeah.
Okay, so what else do you want to know?
I don't know. Is there anything else that you would like to kind of like talk about specifically?
I could talk about the album forever. Because it's just the most important thing I've ever done so far.
Oh man, well you're 22, right?
Yeah.
I think you are on a very great start of like your music career. Like I talked to Zach about this. We're bringing this man up again.
Yeah, please. I want to know what Zach says about me when I'm not around.
Oh, it wasn't about you. Oh. It was about me. Or it was about us.
Zach, I'm mad at you.
Yeah. One of the things that I mentioned was like, I don't have an album out, and I've been playing music for almost like 8 years, maybe 6 or 8 years, something like that. And I don't even have a full album out. Like I have some EPs with different projects. So one of the things I aspire to do is use the podcast as a motivating factor to try to make a collaborative album with a bunch of the musical guests I have on. And obviously I don't just interview musicians. I have other people that I do other things. Like I've had jiu-jitsu people on here, like I mentioned. Jess did this one.
I love that.
And with those things is I'm doing different collaborative things with those people. Like I haven't posted many of them to this point because editing is a nightmare. And I might have to reach out to you if you can if you're trying to
video editor.
Yeah. But it's one of those things where this is such a good way for me to be inspired myself to actually do stuff.
That's really interesting that you bring that up, because a couple of people have said to me, like, I've been playing music for a long time. I haven't recorded an album. It made sense to me that I've been playing open mics for 2 years. I've been doing my YouTube channel for 2 years or a year and a half. The next step to me, just like organically, was, all right, I'm gonna record an album.
Yeah.
Like, it just made sense to me. And I don't know, maybe I'm just kind of a go big or go home person, but
well, if it's one of those things, like, if you had a lot to say, right? You
Yeah.
had albums worth of material. And
I've written 178 original songs.
Jeez.
Since I was 8. I keep track. I keep them numbered in my notebook.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I have maybe
only 13 of them are on the album.
Yeah.
And also, when I started writing about what I kind of pulled in Adele. I'm pretty sure Adele does this. She writes about just like one period of her life, or one guy, or one relationship. I did that. The album is all about the same thing from every different angle. And I guess Maroon 5's debut album is called Songs About Jane, so maybe that's a similar type of thing as well. I'm not sure, but that's what I did. I wrote like 40 songs in this depression era. Like, when I tell you, I was in bed for 4 months.
Yeah.
I didn't shower. This is TMI. But I really didn't. I didn't work. I didn't drive. I didn't have anything to do. I didn't want to go out. I didn't want to see my friends. I didn't want to do anything. I was heartbroken, you know? Have you ever been heartbroken?
I've been there.
Okay, so you know what it feels like. It's just like your life is... It's so cliche to everybody else, but to you, it's your whole world is just on fire and drowning at the same time somehow. And I just was not having it. And so I just spent all this time writing and writing and writing and writing. And I just wrote about every aspect. Sad, angry, moving on, what it's like to try to talk to other people when you have feelings for somebody, just all this stuff, the spiritual stuff I was going through, the mental stuff I was like all of it. And I think I ended up writing like 35 or 40 songs in the space of like 6 months, which is a lot. And only 13 of them are even making it onto the album, because a lot of the stuff is repetitive. Like, I wrote a song on the album. It's called Bitterness and Envy. It's a self-explanatory title. I probably wrote like 2 other songs with the same general emotion, you know what I mean? So I just picked one from each feeling and put it onto the album. So I actually think it's a really well-rounded work of art. I feel weird saying that, but it is.
No, that's incredible that you were able to do that with the album, where that's one of the things I struggle with, where sure I maybe could have an album's worth of material.
Yeah.
But does it all go together?
Makes sense.
You have 40 songs that you wrote in a period, and you picked the best from there.
It made sense, for sure. Now that I'm looking back on it, if I had tried to just grab from the music that I'd written before, and I'd written over 100 songs at that point, but I guess it maybe wouldn't have made sense. But even now, like, I'm working on something that's going to be coming out after the album, hopefully this year or next year. It makes sense again, because I sit down and write about the same thing all at once. I don't know, what's your writing like? Like, what's your writing process like? Because for me, I'm going to say what mine is like.
Yeah, go for it.
For me, I go through massive dry spells, and then I'll go through a spell where I write about the same thing a million times over. And that's why it made sense to have the album, because it was one of these spells where I'd like written about the same thing, and it was there. The album was there in what I'd written, and I knew it. Yeah. When I'd finished, when I came out of the depression, finally took a shower, I knew. I was like, oh, it's time to do something with this.
That's great.
And it was so, actually, I've been working on the album since like October of 2018, not really January of last year, but yeah. So for me, that's how it works. What about you? Do you like write all the time, or?
So I write all the time in the sense where, like, if I have an idea, it goes somewhere and it's documented or recorded, like blip, like, oh, I need to keep this lick because it goes with this other thing that I've had.
Yeah, I do the same thing.
But whenever my songs come together, it's usually it's like a bunch of chemicals in a pot in a centrifuge, and eventually the temperature's right and the chemical reaction happens.
You black out and the song's there.
Yeah, basically. Like, I remember I was late to work one day. This was like the first time I wrote a song that I was like extremely content with. Like, I was like, this is a masterpiece. Like, this was one of those where I stood away and I'm like, whoa, like, the fact that I made this is crazy. I didn't know I was able to do good quality stuff. Like, I thought I just was going to be playing Blitzkrieg.
It was a bad song.
Yeah, But I woke up that morning, and my guitar's like by my bed, and I'm just like, I'm in my head. There's a song in my head. And I'm like, oh, that's a fucking good song. And I'm like thinking, putting my shoes on or whatever, and I'm like, what the fuck song is this in my head? So I grabbed my guitar and I'm like, I made this song while I was sleeping. And then I was like late I had to say it like for 15 minutes. I was like, I have to remember the lyrics that the song in my head was right now. Because if I go to work, it's gone.
It's gone forever.
It's gone.
I hate when that happens.
Yeah, that's why I tell everyone, like, you can't.
You have to stop and record that on your phone right now and write it down and write the chords down.
You can't waste it. It's gone. It's gone after. Like, it's so many times where I'm like, oh, I'll remember that lick because I have to go over here and do this thing. No, I should have went in the bathroom and went, you know? Like, you need something to...
Should have let go of my pride and done it. Yeah. No, I've done the same exact thing where, like, I'm in my head, I'm like, this is an absolute banger. I need to record this.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, I'll just come back to it in an hour. I have to finish this first. Yeah. And then you come back and you have no idea what it was.
Yep. And
that is one of the worst feelings in the world.
That's why, like, I need to record it the way I hear it.
Yeah.
Because if I write down, like, oh, it's this chord played in this order.
You'll forget the melody.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, maybe not the melody, but the tempo.
Oh, okay.
And now I'm like, what? This isn't right. No.
That's happened to me. That's happened to me so many times.
Yeah.
Or even when I've written a song and then I haven't recorded it right after I wrote it, and then I go back to the lyrics and the chords and I'm like, I don't even really remember what this sounds like.
Yeah.
And I try to replay it and it doesn't sound good anymore.
Mm-hmm.
These are such upsetting feelings.
Yeah, no, like, every musician knows the feeling.
That's very frustrating.
Yeah, I think that and the fact that the more you play, the more maybe not the more you play, but the more intentional practice you put in, the more I think it starts firing stuff in your brain that makes you want to write different stuff.
Yeah.
The problem with me for the last couple of years is I've been listening to these big progressive bands. So the music that I'm writing, I can't do without a band.
Oh.
And that's what sucks for me. So, like, I'm coming up with these really great songs, maybe, with really good concepts of, like, the structure and lyrics that maybe are going to be great. But if I can't make it into something that I can play out in public on an acoustic guitar with maybe one other person that I can be like, oh, I messed around with. It's not worthless. It's just not worth my time in the moment because I have a show coming up.
Yeah.
I should be working on my acoustic stuff, you know? If I was in a bigger band, then I could focus on that stuff. And that's why I emphasize saving that stuff, because when you finally, if you desire getting into that big band and you get there, you can be like, oh, look at all these concepts I have. And then other guys are going to go, oh, I have a beat that matches that perfectly. Because that's how bands work. It's insane how easy it is to write when everyone's on the same page. Like, that's what that band was. Like, it was me, my friend Kevin, and our drummer was this, like, 50-some-year-old guy named Gary. But we were on the same page somehow. And we wrote insanely good music.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So it's, being in a band, I recommend it. If you've never tried, like, actually doing... I'm scared to
play with other musicians, because I have no sense of timing.
Yeah, it'll humble you, too, because it'll make you... Yeah, it'll make you... What I loved about that band is that it was just, like, it was 4 of us at one time, but everyone... I'm not a big fan of, like, how Hollywood does it with... I'm trying to think of, like, a band that this is a thing with. But there's a lot of the time the narrative is, oh, let's put the lead singer up front, and the rest of the band's like 10 seconds of
Does anyone know anyone other than Adam Levine?
Yeah, exactly. So it's one of those things where, like, Red Hot Chili Peppers, like, you have Flea on the bass, right? So like that, maybe he's like the famous guy there, and then you have Slash. You know, you have some people that aren't the lead singer that are maybe the focal point. But I always tried to make it so, like, everyone got some spotlight. Yeah. Because I think it's a team effort going in. Everyone should have their own limelight, and it should be enjoyable for everyone. I don't want anyone's ego to be too blown up.
Yeah, and that obviously happens.
Yeah, and I think when you have that mentality, everyone's putting forth, they're not trying to steal the show. It's like, yo, let's just make this song good. Let's put what needs to be there. Let's not try to put no crazy solos anywhere. Let's just let it happen. Mm-hmm. And they float. Oh my God. When you're in a good band, you know that feeling, and every band I've been in has had some semblance of that. But I was saying, like, in the Climbing, a whole album came out of that, which is incredible.
Yeah, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting what you just brought up about since you've been listening to like big music, now you want to like write all this band stuff.
Yeah.
Since being in the studio, I actually have found it harder than usual to write like acoustic stuff.
That
because
just
all
you
I can,
do, because
because all I can think about is like what would Zach do with the song? Like if we were to throw this on the piano and guitar, like how would we do it? Or if we had a drums, what would it sound like? I'm thinking about what it would sound like it produced. So it is different. Like you're really influenced by what you're doing and what you're listening to at the time, for sure. So
100%.
But I'm getting back into it. When we first started recording the album, it was impossible for me to write anything because I was doing music all the time at the studio. And when I got home, I was sick of it. I was like, I don't want to sit down and write a song.
Yeah.
I don't care what I'm feeling, So, but yeah, things are changing. Things are changing for me, so it's good. It's exciting.
That's incredible, though. You have such a huge journey ahead of you, and I'm excited to have you on again.
Yeah.
And we're gonna talk about how oh yeah, I'm rich and famous now. Whatever. It's oh man. I think keep your chin up because you have the talents to grow and you're actually going out of your way to like make your album. Like it wasn't just an idea like, oh, I should make an album. You did it. So keep that attitude and you're gonna go far with your desires in this.
Thank you. That's really nice. I also want to point out that my friend Sarah is the one who did all the photo shoots, who photographed the album cover and everything. That is is that a mosquito in the middle of January?
Yeah, right. I don't even get
bus.
They're around. I'm gonna get him. He's not. I'm not gonna let him touch you, Rachel. Mark my words.
I feel very protected. Yeah, she did all the. I just want to point this out and just throw a little shout out to her because she did the photographs. You just met her. She was with my brother here.
Oh, okay.
She did all the photography, so all of the stuff that you've seen out, the promotional stuff with the album release date and everything, I have designed all of that, and I designed the album cover and the back and the whole thing. She did the photographs, so I'm really proud of that too. Like the marketing of this album has been really fun, and as I've told you, I'm a graphic designer and I'm interested in marketing and all this stuff. So that has been like a really fun aspect of this as well. And that's been a learning experience as well.
Yeah.
Like trying to reach out to people in like a classy, sophisticated way that still represents what the album's going to feel like and like this kind of light angelic, which is kind of the vibe that I've gone with for the promotional stuff because I think that's what the album's mostly going to feel like for people. So yeah, I'm just really proud of that too, and I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, that's incredible actually. I wanted to mention this too. I'm kind of glad you brought up that part of your thing. So I think your YouTube channel is so well organized, except for your lack of playlists. But that's just me being nitpicky.
I'm insanely organized.
Yeah, but you do such a good job with your thumbnails. I love your overlays. Everything's so good. Do you have any advice you can give anyone out there, including me?
Okay. Wow. That's hard. It's hard to give advice on something like this because this is gonna sound. I don't know how this is going to sound, but either you have taste or you don't. And it's hard to kind of teach somebody what looks good and what doesn't. But I think when things are organized and clean and the least amount of busy that you can go with when it comes to designing anything, that's what attracts people the most universally. I think busyness scares people. You're looking around here because your place is very busy, but
I want to show you like my business card.
You're eclectic,
I want you to tell me.
Thing.
Oh yeah. Well, there's like a unique aesthetic to like the sticker thing, but now like I'm kind of curious what you think of my business.
There was
card,
at one point though when I decided to change the font on my YouTube thumbnails, and I went through and changed every single one of them. I didn't just leave the old ones up. But this is the one part of me that's like not an artist, is I'm extraordinarily OCD and very punctual.
So like I don't think I have the old version. This is like the newer one, and this one's a little more busy than the old one, but I just want your taste on it.
Why does he want to do this while we're on camera?
Well,
he wants me to rip him apart on camera.
Yeah, let's go. Chew me out.
My very first impression is there are too many colors.
Okay. Isn't that good though? Like
when you design that there are colors?
Yeah, like the background. No, you hate it?
I wouldn't say I hate it.
All right.
I don't hate it, but yeah, usually when you design when it comes to a logo, it should be like 3 colors at the most, 4 maybe at the most. You should keep things very simple. Okay. That's what makes something memorable.
So if you like hold that, like part of the design was that it's like a Yu-Gi-Oh card because it's kind of holographic.
What's a Yu-Gi-Oh card?
Oh my god. It's like a holographic Charizard. I don't know.
Okay, are we talking about Pokemon right now?
Yeah.
Okay, I know nothing. I know nothing other than gotta catch them all.
All right, there you go.
Supposed to, what do you mean? Is it supposed to? You're supposed to look through it?
So if you look, there you go. It's the lighting in here is not helping you.
I do really like that.
Yeah.
That's
so
cool,
that's the reason I did it that way
in color
with the sheen.
Well, you could have done it in color still without like this is.
That's what
complex.
you're not a fan of. The
we can
icons.
talk more about this when we're off the
All right,
off camera.
I'm with it. I'll take advice.
Because I can talk about this forever, and that's not
no
what we're here
doubt.
for. But yeah, but I just wanted to. I'll keep this.
Yeah, hang on to it. Give me advice later tonight. She's gonna write me an article in Facebook
gonna
Messenger.
Write him a whole email. Now that I know what your designs look like, take me off your YouTube channel.
Oh my god.
I'm so offended.
Forgive me.
Yeah. No. Yeah, what my point was, I'm just really the marketing aspect of things and getting design stuff was really fun. And I've designed 2 T-shirts as well, which are gonna be coming out with the album.
Ooh, I want one.
I'm really excited.
Swing me one, and I'll rep it on the show.
Okay,
you
that'll
know
be
it.
exciting. All right.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, is there anything else you want to kind of get into?
I think we're good. I think it's jam time.
I think so too. So, Rachel, where can people find you if they want to reach out and collab?
Oh, okay. I'm Miss Rachel Dodson, which is just MS Rachel Dodson. You can see it right there. Right there. I'm going the wrong way. There.
Yeah.
Right? There. Okay. That is my handle for everything. Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook. Facebook doesn't have a handle, but facebook.com/Miss Rachel Dodson. And my email is also missracheldodson@gmail.com for business inquiries.
Awesome. And then if they want to find out more information on the album or maybe your tour dates.
Yeah, that's all going to be just find me on any of those social medias. I keep everything updated.
Nice.
I'm a Gen Z, remember?
Oh, all day.
I know how this stuff works.
Sure do. All right, then we're out and you guys got to keep an eye out for our jam session that we're going to do. All right. Bye.